Okay, so I got this question. I think there were like 25 people who sent a DM on Twitter asking me to explain this IPO thing of Kakao Entertainment. If you were here in my last live stream, you would remember that I discussed how Kakao is actually closing some of its companies and going back on some of their investments in other countries so that they can concentrate on the North American market. So it is very obvious by now that their target is really expansion towards the north, towards the west, sorry, towards North America or towards the west. However, apparently it should have been more obvious even then, even before, because there's somebody, it's actually Espanjin, that is the name of the account, and she published this story about Kakao giving its employees shares in the hopes that they are going to go public. And of course, if you own a portion of the company, it goes public, then you earn money. Okay, let's go through it one by one. Um, okay. And then let's go to your questions later. Let me organize my windows. You're not too late. I'm just about to begin. Okay. So before we even try to understand, thank you, Elaine. Thank you so much. Okay, before we try to even start analyzing this entire thing of Kakao, um, the only way really for us to become objective, if we really want to understand this thing without any bias, we have to sort of organize our thoughts. And in looking at a case, we should always remember there are different components: the intention or the motive, the action, and the effect or the result. So if I do something, for example, just for example, I punched somebody in please vote Mnet, Elaine said. Elaine, okay, so can you share, because I can't vote. I've tried voting, but I can't vote. I can't vote on my app. Okay, so going back into what I was saying, um, I so always remember that there are three different components: the intention or the motive, the action, and the effect or the result. So, for example, if I punched somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean that my intention was to hurt that person. It could have been self-defense. So there always the what we think of the action doesn't always equate to what we think of the motive, right? And then if that punching of him resulted to death, for example, or whatever, it doesn't mean, for example, he got a heart attack because I punched him or something. It doesn't necessarily mean that my punching him resulted to him getting into the hospital. It could have been something else. And my punching him was one of the triggers, but it could be that there are many other triggers. Okay. So always remember that there's intention and there's motive, action, and there's effect and result. Now, um, the question is, so the situation is that Kakao apparently since 2018 has been offering their employees shares in the company in exchange through in capital contribution. So you can own a share of the company or become a shareholder, and they have been doing that since 2018. They're offering all of their employees that, or at least some of their employees. So you have a chance to buy a share of the company. So the question is, what was the intention of him offering their employees partial ownership through shares? Okay. And as I've stated in the beginning, if you want to look at things objectively, you have to entertain the thought of them being guilty or innocent. You can't just assume just because we're upset at Kakao for what they did, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are guilty automatically. We need to try and make it and entertain the thought that they're actually innocent. The truth is that they are not the only company that has been doing this. A lot of companies are actually offering ownership through shares. Google, Apple, Amazon, and Tesla. Okay. Why the reason companies offer shares to their employees? A lot of reasons. One, they high potential employees often look for companies where they can take part in the company's financial success. So if you know, for example, I'm the talent that you want, if I know that I can have a bigger pie if you succeed because partly of my contribution, that I then I am most likely going to go to you rather than a company that won't offer any compensation or reward for how I will help the company grow. Okay, so that is one, attracting or retaining employees. Then retaining employees, of course, high potential employees often look for companies where they can participate in the company's financial success. So I would most likely stay here in this company if I know that I will be rewarded more. However, many of the rewards they can only collect after staying with the company for a specific number of years, so they are most likely to stay longer. A good employee will most likely stay longer if that is the requirement for them to get the reward that they wanted. For example, some stocks that are offered, you have to hold it for 10 years before you can actually sell it. So then most likely you're going to stay there for 10 years, right? So that you can actually enjoy the financial benefits or the rewards of your investment. Then it actually boosts motivation and productivity. This is very, very common among startups. I have been in startups many times, and a lot of times this is one of the ways that they attract good employees. Actually, they when you know that there is equity compensation, it will motivate employees to do better, because we know that when the company grows, we grow with them, right? When the company stocks or when the company performs better, then our investment in that company will also grow. So then I will most likely do better, do everything that I can, contribute everything that I can to ensure that my investment grows. Okay. There's also the preservation of cash and the reduction of cost. Companies will not have to spend a lot of money in giving their employees more and more salary, higher and higher salaries, if they can just do it through equity. So, and this is very common, especially for executives. Usually, they'll tell you, "Okay, we can't give you 500,000 a year, but we can give you an equity of this much." And so, it's a risk for the employee. But if you know your skills and you believe in this company, then you're most likely going to take it. In the end, then the company doesn't have to pay you a lot of money because they're just offering you equity. And then it creates a strong company culture if you have a dog in the fight, right? So, quote unquote, if you have a dog in the fight, then you're most likely going to be more invested in it. So you have a shared sense of purpose, as employees are directly rewarded for the company's achievements. Then um, it is just about rewarding contribution to success. Equity rewards employees based on company's overall success. So if you do well in your job, if everybody does well on their job, then everybody is going to benefit. And then you, the one that invested and actually worked for the company, will get more. So as I've said, executives and managers are often offered equity. Some people are actually negotiating for this. Some executives, especially if you're being pirated, you can actually negotiate for this. It's very common for product managers, project managers, other executive or C-suite employees. That is what they ask for. Many CEOs, I've discussed this before, many CEOs actually don't have a lot of cash. They don't have a lot of money, meaning when you hear, like, for example, a CEO is worth 150 million, it doesn't mean they have the companies paying them 150 million. 100 million could be in the form of shares, and then 50 million is all they've got. It's still a lot of money, but just that's just an example. So but that is the principle, that I will offer you share in my company, so then you will make sure that you are going to do your best and contribute so that the company grows, and when it grows, then you benefit. So the question here is, what happened with Kakao? So 2018, they started offering their employees a chance to be a shareholder in the company. um, and the promise, or at least the objective or the vision, is for them to go public. Once they go public, shares are going to go up, and then employees can cash in on their investment. So what happened? BTS and Bang Chiyuk happened. That's what happened. So it is their fault. End of story. I'm kidding. All right. So 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 passed and nothing happened. So 5 years basically have passed, and employees of Kakao are still waiting to cash in on the investment that they made. Okay. So 2018, these are the significant things that happened in the last 5 years. Beyonce went to perform in Coachella, BTS performed in Wembley, sold it out for 2 nights. Their COVID happened. Oh my God, 2020, 2021. Britney Spears was finally set free from her conservatorship. 2022 is when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. So a lot has happened, and still no public offering for Kakao. 2023 is when Hybe tried to buy SM, and this is what people were very, very upset about. They called it the hostile takeover. And it is a hostile takeover, but remember, this is just a business term. It doesn't mean Hybe is actually going in the office of SM and pointing guns at people. That is not how a hostile takeover happens. Okay, it's just a business term. Okay, so Hybe was trying to buy majority of the shares of SM Entertainment. However, they were going against Kakao, and Kakao won. All right, so that's what happened. And everyone thought, okay, end of story. Hybe actually moved on. They bought several other companies, and Kakao got sued by Hybe. So it's actually Hybe who filed the complaint and said that they manipulated the stocks. That's why they won, and they need to be held accountable for it. So the founder of Kakao, and Lee Bum-soo, was actually arrested, and he was put in jail for 100 days, but he's currently out on bail. Okay. Now, that is the gist of the matter. Kakao has been offering their employees share of the company since 2018. 7 years, nothing has happened, or 6 years, nothing has happened yet. And nothing has happened primarily because Hybe got in the way, because Big Hit and Bang Shiyuk and BTS happened. They became so successful. They became a conglomerate. On the other hand, other management companies, other entertainment companies were demoted to medium three instead of a big three. So the question now is, I will answer the other question that was asked is what, okay, I will get to the answer to the main question, and what does Hybe have to do with everything. So question is, can Kakao still go public if a key executive is under investigation or facing a lawsuit, like what's happening in Kakao? um Yes. However, there are consequences to what happened. One is the increased regulatory scrutiny, because you are in legal trouble. There's Security and Exchange Commission, SEC. I don't know the name of the equivalent. I think it's also SEC. Will, of course, scrutinize you more. If there's any suspicion that a company or its leaders have manipulated stock prices, the regulatory body, which is SEC, may deny the IPOX application or require additional disclosure uh, to safeguard the investors. There will also be an increased requirement on corporate governance. And the principles of corporate governance is accountability, transparency, fairness, responsibility, and risk management. They are going to fail in all accounts because they're a very risky investor. They're not taking responsibility for their actions. They're not fair. They aren't transparent, and no one is holding themselves accountable. They are going to fail in all respects. Okay. And then, of course, if you're applying for an IPO, a legal and financial risk disclosure is also required. And in that disclosure, you're actually going to have to really disclose everything that you have done in the company. If you put forward an application and you're not truthful, or later on down the road, somebody proves that you omitted some of the details, then your entire company can go down. So and so whatever happened in this takeover, Kakao will be forced to actually um, disclose everything. So can an IPO still happen? Can Kakao still manage to do an IPO? Yes, but there is a but. Yes, but with all of these things that are happening, with all the requirements that they need to fulfill, and all the scrutiny that they can face, then there is a huge possibility that the SEC will disapprove it. Remember that the SEC's main job is to take care of the investors. Why am I going to allow, if I'm SEC, why am I going to allow all of these investors, especially the retail investors? Why am I going to allow them to have an option in investing in a company that is risky, that have done all of these things? I'm not going to allow it, right? And then the other thing is that as an investor, if I know that you are getting caught in all of your wrongdoings, why am I going to invest in your company? So it can actually jeopardize their application. Okay, so I appreciate the lecture, but where does hybe figure into this? Okay, so where does hybe figure into this? There is what we call the clean hands doctrine. Okay, if someone goes to court asking for help, in this case, that is hype, they must have acted fairly and ethically themselves. In other words, you better not be doing what you are accusing others of doing. The principle is that the court should not assist a party who has engaged in unethical or dishonest behavior related to the matter in dispute. So, example, a party sues for breach of contract, but they themselves also breached a contract, then that is not going to encourage the court to grant you the win, because you yourself are doing the illegal thing that you are accusing others of doing. So this is the theory of many people online, that SM employees and Kakao employees, not just SM, sorry, Kakao employees primarily, and also some SM employees and people that they have paid, they're actually trying to do everything and anything that they can to destroy the reputation of hybe, in the hopes that the court will see that hybe is not clean. Therefore, they can invalidate the case. Again, the court is not encouraged to assist a company that is doing illegal things. Okay, they're doing black propaganda in order to destroy the reputation of hybe. If hybe is proven to be in violation of any kind of regulation, then the court may refuse to hear the complaint against hybe. However, it's weak. It's a weak case. They have to prove that hybe is doing something illegal related to the case that they filed. Okay, it can't be just another kind of illegal thing. So, in other words, if I filed a case, this case against Kakao, because they manipulated stocks, and then I have been proven to have been bullying somebody else, those two things are not related. So even if I am proven to have been a bully, it has nothing to do with Kakao manipulating stocks. For the clean hands doctrine to take place, that has to happen in the same case. My violation also needs to be in the same case. So it's a weak case. It's a weak case. Um, Now, as we try to navigate this entire thing and try to understand what is happening, remember that Kakao or SM leaders don't necessarily share their values with all of its employees. Okay. So some of these employees just need to pay bills. So I hope that we're also careful in how we call these employees that are supposedly spreading black propaganda against Hybe or BTS or whoever. Let's be careful because not all of them are evil. Okay. Also, they're just people trying to pay their bills, supporting their families. So don't forget your humanity as we looked into this. It's the only thing that will set us apart from evil. Okay, so I hope that is clear. I hope I explained it clearly what is happening, and what are the chances of Hybe or of this case getting dismissed if Hybe is proven to have written this report or whatever. I hope that is clear.